to provide a remedy to those affected. Citi has a responsibility to act to identify, prevent, and mitigate the climate impacts associated with its fossil fuel finance activities that are fueling climate change. And it has a remedy to those, a responsibility to remedy those affected when it has contributed to those impacts. Full stop. So we filed a complaint with the UN back in 2021 regarding Saudi Aramco and its financiers, which included Citi. Why do we pick Saudi Aramco? I think you all can guess. It's the single largest corporate emitter of greenhouse gas emissions. It's responsible for more than 4% of all historic carbon emissions since 1965. And if we tap all the reserves that they have, we would use up a quarter of the carbon budget that we have available for keeping under 1.5. Citi has been a big financier of Saudi Aramco. The UN confirmed and wrote letters to Citi. They wrote letters to Saudi Aramco saying, you are likely contributing to human rights violations by continuing to finance this company that is very clearly engaged in fossil fuel expansion, which is adversely affecting human rights. They also said that engaging in greenwashing is also a human rights violation. Why? Because that is obstructing climate action. So Citi is likely contributing to human rights violations, and by engaging in greenwashing, which we all know they are, they're also likely contributing and engaging in human rights violations. So Citi's recent disclosures on its climate actions showed very clearly they're not using its leverage on its oil and gas clients. Its oil and gas clients are not aligned with zero. And yet Citi continues to finance the likes of Saudi Aramco and Exxon. And it's not only lending, it is helping the likes of Exxon to merge with Pioneer and expand its operations in the Permian Basin and financing the LNG terminals and financing all these activities that are harming communities and exacerbating climate change. Citi, if it doesn't want to be held accountable to be liable for human rights violations, it must stop financing fossil fuel expansion. And it must withdraw financing from companies that do not implement Paris-aligned transition plans. And it must reflect these standards in its contracts with its companies and say that we are not going to do business with you if you do not align with a net zero future. And I just want to end by quoting the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. He says, let's tell it like it is. Using bogus net zero pledges to cover up massive fossil fuel expansion is reprehensible. It is rank deception. This toxic cover-up could push our world over the climate cliff. The sham must end. We absolutely agree. And I look forward to this conversation.